The Pantheon, everybody is out. It's kind of nuts. And I am going to be sharing this broadcast with Saving Ancient Studies. Got to get on here with me. It's a coordinated effort. And we are going to be... Here we go. I'm Darius Arya. I direct the American History for Roman Culture. You can go to ancientromelive.org. And I'm here sharing with Saving Ancient Studies. Hey, how you doing?
Hey there, how you doing?
Good. So introduce...
Okay.
No, go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Evan Bowers. I'm with Save Ancient Studies Alliance. It's acronym is SASA. We're a nonprofit organization that uses education, collaboration, and scholarship to help save ancient studies.
There we go. And what a perfect collaboration for me. I'm an archaeologist in Rome, and of course I direct the American History for Roman Culture. That's at Save Rome on all social media channels. So we thought we would work together. I'm here in Rome. We still have a mask mandate, as you can see. But as you can also see, we have a lot of people out. Like Rome has exploded with people. And we're going to be looking at we're going to look at the Pantheon today. The numbers are down. The vaccines are getting rolled out. And everyone has a really good mood, and of course it's like 80 degrees or whatever. So it's a beautiful, beautiful evening. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So let's come around here, and people can ask questions, and we'll be sure to answer them. And I'm going to take you into I'm going to get a little perspective first, and then we can go over and walk inside and around the Pantheon. Not inside, but in the porch of the Pantheon, because the Pantheon's closes at 6:30.
Okay.
But it's still all good. And I'll flip around here.
It really looks like the tourist season is really picking up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, most of the people here, I mean, they still haven't gotten the whole situation settled with passports and, green pass and so on. But everybody is out and about. Obviously, Europeans are coming in, no problem. I did a project just a week ago. I came back from Germany. So now that that's all released, let's say all that kind of procedure, then as a European citizen, you just show a negative COVID test and then you go. So I think you're so you're gonna see, but they haven't had an agreement yet with the United States yet. That's gonna take a little bit of time, but I'm sure it'll roll out in the next couple of weeks. But I just want to at least give you some perspective before we go into the porch. Here is our magnificent front porch where we'll be going inside, and then we have the rotunda in the back. And famously, we should also note that there is this transitional block. Sometimes we forget about that. But the transition block is this important wedge that does exist from the pronaos, so this front porch of the colonnade, and the rotunda itself. And then we're going to go around the backside, and we'll see something similar on the backside as well. That was added as a secondary addition, apparently because they had some issues with a lot of cracks in the pour, the foundation, and the back wall. So they're gonna add a structure.
Yeah.
But and unfortunately, the piazza with the fountain, that's they're relaying the San Pietrini pavement, so that's still a work in progress. But
the little St. Peter's.
Yeah, so that's all gorgeous to look at. It just unfortunately be a little bit better if this project gets done. And another thing is there are so many people sitting outside because that's the rule now. You cannot actually still eat inside.
Right.
And so everyone...
The inscription on the top there, that's so iconic. What does that say?
So here we go. It says M. So that's short for Marcus.
Okay.
And then Agrippa. So there's the original builder of the Pantheon. And then there's and these are replacement letters, right? The bronze letters get ripped off. And these are then replacement in the modern era. But here we have LC. He's Filius, son of Lucius L. And then finally, when is he doing this? So he does it COS Tertium. So in his third consulship. So he's holding the executive office for the third time. Fake it. He did it. So here, guys, here's our Latin 101. And then maybe if I can zoom in enough, can you make out just below, there's another Severan era inscription.
Oh, I can see it, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to come over here, and you can really make out the first line, sorry.
And now this is when it was restored, right?
Yeah, but the whole question is archaeologically, there's been a couple of really great recent publications that are assessing it from top to bottom saying, and where is the Severan modification here? Are they just adding their name, or do they do something? So that's still one of those, one of those scholarly debates.
A heated debate in the scholar community.
Oh yeah, blood has been spilled, exactly. and then we can see there was something inside in the pediment. There's always some statuary, and this is typically reconstructed as, you see all the holes here, as an eagle with outspread wings holding a wreath, which would then be signifying the apotheosis, the deification of the rulers. Because what is the Pantheon, in a sense? It is sure a temple of all the gods, but that's not the way it worked. There weren't temples to all the gods. There's one temple, one god. Inside is the house of a god, not the gods. And this seems to be modeled after. There are a number of buildings which we think of, but one of the ones that sticks out in my mind is the one in Alexandria. There's Tikeon, and it was really geared towards the deification of the ruler. And of course, Augustus with Agrippa have to introduce this idea. Sure, Julius Caesar was deified, but what about him? And so the idea is, let's introduce this idea that eventually, yes, when you die, you can become a god. And in fact, we're told in one of the sources that Julius Caesar's statue is inside. Look at that niche right there. There's one on either side of the door.
Oh, yeah.
And they're huge. Wait, let's just finish up.
Okay.
Agrippa wants to put Augustus inside. He says, no, I'm not worthy. So he's in the porch. So we have two niches, one and then the other side as well. So these are Hadrianic. But if they're anywhere near similar to the original Pantheon, then these would have been big statues of Agrippa and Augustus. But you were saying, yes.
Oh, yeah. I was saying this is a kind of a unique concept in Rome to have one building sheltering many gods. I think that the common thing that is most common is one temple for one god, right?
Yep. I mean, sometimes you have, the famously Venus and Rome temple, they're back to back. Each one has its own room. And at the same time, we have plenty of examples of temples where there's the statue, the icon in the back, but they could be flanked by other statues of other gods or imperial family members or whatever. So there can be all kinds of different ways, but basically it's supposed to be the house of a particular god. This is the exception, so this should be something different, and all the indications from the sources and so forth are that indeed it is really about the eventual veneration of all these assumed into heaven rulers. Right. And in fact, we look out this way, 800 meters, and what would we see in the time of Agrippa? And this is built in the 25 or so BC. Same ground plan too. It's the rotunda in the back, not vaulted though, and then a porch like this, same scale, same size. We know that from archaeological examination. Down there, 800 meters north, the entrance of the mausoleum of Augustus. So essentially, it's very obvious to anyone living at the time of Augustus. Oh, I get it. He's going to die, and he's going to be buried down there, and then in this structure, he's going to be worshipped as a god. There's the oculus. Right. We can see right there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I will take you, I like doing this, inside. Okay, not open for business, but.
Are these the original Roman doors?
These are, it's a great question. These are ancient doors. It's been verified. They've been examined for the bronze and the content of the tin and the copper and so forth, but they are not, we don't think they're the original. Okay. And you see the threshold up there, right? The original door should be the height of that threshold.
Oh my gosh.
So we think that these are at a certain point just added because the original ones have been removed.
Yeah.
But anyway, still very impressive, right?
Yeah, they would have been as tall as those, and they would have been made out of bronze.
Made out of bronze, so cast bronze, and this stuff is just gorgeous. Another great example of ancient doors besides these that are preserved, even more magnificent, much more fancy, are the ones from the Curia. The Senate House in the Forum got taken to be the doors of St. John Lateran.
Yeah, because I was going to say they kind of resemble Vatican doors to me a little bit, or some of the older churches in Rome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say this idea of having multiple gods in a single building, is this a uniquely Roman thing? Because I think people's misconceptions is it's Greek or.
No, I mean there are lots of examples of religious structures and temenos, or these kind of holy spaces or precincts. The
Yeah.
altar of the 12 gods in the Agora in Athens. So I mean there are examples of
Yeah,
having all the
sure.
gods together, but
Hmm.
yet still, this is a pretty awesome setting in the campus Martius. It's connected to many other structures, so it seems to have resonated with a lot of people, and really seems to be underlining the power of Augustus. I'm taking you outside here a little bit because I want
Oh
to take you
yeah.
around, so we get real close to the massive marble veneer that we see here. We're walking right here to the rotunda. Of course, it's all made of brick. And then here's the next structure. This is another structure. This is the Cypta. This is the enclosure, runs 300 meters, 80 meters wide, and it is where you would vote. And this structure still has a place in Imperial Rome. It becomes like a shopping mall. So we're
Okay.
literally seeing then that here's the Pantheon, and here are these great monolithic columns from
Right.
Egypt, two types here, and then we're going to pass by and we'll go behind the Pantheon. But look at that; this is already another structure. So the urban setting of Rome, very densely packed and filled with big commercial spaces and religious spaces and so forth, and everything is surrounded by a portico. So
Oh yeah.
there was some sort of piazza system right in front of the Pantheon.
So we have a question from chat. One of the comments. The gate
Yeah,
has constellation reliefs. What's the purpose of that?
the gate. Excuse me, which gate?
It seems like the very front, the door had constellation reliefs on it,
Oh, I
or
don't
it
know. I
looked
mean,
like stars.
I think it's just like some sort of nice imagery. But I mean, remember the
Oh, kind
doors
of.
didn't have anything to do with the Pantheon, so it came from some other ancient monument. But
Right.
it wouldn't be relevant.
Just
I'm
purely
showing you now.
decorative.
Yeah, and so now we're inside this what would have been a very 300-meter long enclosed walkway, and in the center there'd be a big open field, about a football field wide and 3 football fields long. So this is just one wall, and you see how it just butts up against the Pantheon as we're walking along.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm gonna take you around the back.
You really get an idea of the sheer size of it. It's
Oh
huge.
yeah, it's huge. And the rotunda is so special because of all the it's a cylinder, and within the cylinder you can fit a sphere. So imagine the sphere that you could put in there is 150 feet wide and basically 150 feet high. So here now,
Oh
see,
my
this is the
gosh.
structure I was telling you about. This is another structure that's added on, kind of butting up against the back of it, the way that the porch is in the front. And then this
Okay.
structure right here, this is the beginning of another structure. This is the Basilica of Neptune, and it actually continues underneath the road and underneath this structure right here. So there's another really, really big, large space that would have had a huge vaulted ceiling, and now we're appearing on the inside of it. So we have, we're talking about lots and lots of structures. I mean, literally
Built on
360
top of
around
each other.
everything around the Pantheon. So to the west of the Pantheon, the Baths of Nero, rebuilt to the Baths of Septimius Severus. So here now we're on the outside wall. So the
Yeah.
idea is that there's a fire. The fire takes place in the
Oh.
reign of our buddy Trajan. Lots of fires in the Campus Martius. The
Yeah.
one of the one of 80 was a big one, and then this one here in 110 was big. So it seems then in the lifetime of Trajan, they're going to start to rebuild the Pantheon, the third on the site. So you have Agrippa, then Domitian, and then we have this one. This started by Trajan and is going to be completed by Hadrian. But so maybe when you grow up as a student, or you're reading a basic book or a short summary of it, they'll say Hadrian built it. Well, he completed it, but I don't think right now in the academic world, with examination of brick stamps that can help us date and understand when the manufacture of these bricks were produced, I don't think we really
Mhm.
think it's anything other than started by Trajan, completed by Hadrian.
The building itself, what exactly would it have been built of? The inner kind of oculus, because it seems to
So
be.
So it's
Yeah.
basically, it's poured concrete. When you get into the dome part, it's all concentric rings of a very globby, pasty kind of concrete. Don't think of our quick concrete that's very liquidy. Think of it as very pasty, and then you're putting all kinds of aggregate in it as you're laying it down. When we're looking at
Okay.
the base of the walls, the base of the walls go back to as thick as 25 feet.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
but there are lots of voids in it, right? This is not a
Hmm.
solid object. It's all kinds of voids. And essentially, if you go inside the Pantheon, we can do it another time. we start earlier, then it's basically 8 piers on top of which the dome rests. And when you take a look at later inspired buildings like the dome of in Florence, the Duomo, and then St. Peter's, it's always 8 piers on which the dome rests. Now they have a different technology for making the dome higher and so forth, but that is a solid poured concrete dome.
Because I think people's fascination with this building is, 2,000 years ago, they built this dome with an oculus in the middle, and I think that modern day engineers would struggle to build such a thing.
Who's going to build something today that's going to last as long? This is almost 2,000 years old. So
exactly.
Let's say we're going to walk back to the front here. Let's say that one of the reasons why it lasts so long is not just because it's been cared for always. Even when they rip off the gilded bronze roof tiles outside, they replace them with lead tiles in the 7th century. So it has, number one, been cared for. If nobody cared for this, it would have long ago, it would have collapsed because of water infiltration and so forth. And the second thing is, they on a much smaller scale for bath complexes or some palaces, they're installing the oculus. It's a light source. But also it turns out, when you study the physics of it and the engineering of it, by having a hole at the top, you're reducing something called hoop tension from the dome. So it's a great way to reduce the forces that are pulling down the structure. And the third thing is the concrete is so extraordinary that it's getting harder. It's getting stronger over time. It's not getting weaker. So they've done all kinds of analysis. One of my friends, one of these big world experts on all the volcanic material, and there are these different microscopic molecules that ultimately have been analyzed to underline the fact that it actually has an incredible bond that weathers really well. So it's not such that it's going to one day just collapse. It's actually just getting better. It's aging very well.
So it's almost like a self-reinforcing stress relief. Like that's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead.
One of the questions we had from chat was, after the Roman Empire and the rise of Catholicism, what function did the Pantheon have?
So great question. It became a church in the year, I'm going to say 608. And it's this guy, an emperor, a short-lived emperor called Phocas, makes it into a church. And the idea is, it becomes a church, it's saved. And we walk around the city of Rome and we see all kinds of, temples and ancient structures that are in really great shape. It's because they became churches. They became church property. That was a new authority, and they used it and they restored it. They protected it. They changed the timbers out. Now here we're missing the famous, basically timbers made of bronze. A new study has revealed 152 tons of bronze. And they've been replaced. Gosh. They've been replaced by wood, where you can see exactly where those bronze timbers were, where they once were. So this is an extraordinary structure in so many different ways.
Yeah.
But we can at least admire what's left behind. So it's not perfect. It's not entirely intact. But man, this is the best preserved temple in the ancient world.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not just that, but it's also, one of the most amazing structurally, the engineering and so on and so forth.
So the Catholics, in a sense, in 608, used it to have a new kind of a temple or a church and remake it into a church, thus preserving paganism to a certain extent.
For them, the way they looked at it was this, and these are some things that maybe people were referring to. These are all papal dedications, and so they've added a lot of stuff that's Christian and so on. But basically, the idea is, I can exorcise the demons, I can do my prayers, and so on and so forth, and then boom. I have something that is now for my purpose. Because obviously they had a chip on the shoulder for a long time. We really like this, we want to use it, but hey, it's actually had a bad purpose. And by the time you get into the 7th century, you're kind of going so far away from those ancient practices, they've all died out, it's been snuffed out, and you're being persecuted if you worship the old gods. So now finally you can take it for yourself. You use it to glorify God. This is Saint Mary of the Martyrs is the idea.
Yeah.
And so many churches of Mary in this city. And this one's really really special. So today it has a special relationship as well in the city. They've got the state that's taking care of it. You've got the church that owns it. I mean, it's all a kind of a shared kind of monument. Nobody really.
Yeah.
It's not. It's something that's it's not just the church that's taking care of it. It's the government of Italy. So very
but
well
it's
taken
even
care
still
of.
being used. as by the church, for masses
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've been to a baptism here, got a mass here.
Oh,
So
wow.
Pentecost was the other week, and Pentecost, Pentecost. We didn't have it though. We didn't have the mass here, but that's when they throw famously the rose petals. So, just to start to wrap up a couple things. I'm Darius. I direct Ancient Rome Live, which is part of the American Institute for Roman Culture. We're a nonprofit, and we're happy to share. We do, bi-monthly free seminars. We have a master class. Our course launches June 15th. And Evan, tell them again who you are and what you're doing.
I am representing SASA. It's Save Ancient Studies Alliance in America. And we're a nonprofit organization trying to save ancient studies and reversing the downward trend in ancient studies in the United States.
And I applaud you what you're doing, and we're very happy to work with you. And the bottom line is we need all kinds of collaborations to further, ultimately, studies and appreciation of the ancient world. We also need to make these kind of connections with individuals. I mean, not just like me, but just individuals that are out there doing really amazing things that might not be, the standard thing. But at the same time, there's a great alliance to be made and a great sharing to be done with organizations that are heavily invested as well in sharing all this great history. So we're really happy to join you. We're really happy to take a walk with you. And
likewise, thanks for having me.
We're gonna do this again. We have 2 more times. So check, at Save Rome and at Saving Ancient Studies. Check our profiles. Check the websites, and you can get more information to join us the next time.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Too. Yep. My pleasure.
And have a good one.
All right. Ciao.
Ciao.